Share. Go. There we go. Y'all set?
Perfect. I'll let you take it away.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much. So, as a school-based therapist, I have been seeing an increase in the amount of students who have had visual deficits, and I wanted to develop a program for the teachers to work on these skills on a regular basis in the classroom. But first, I needed to get them on board with the why it was important to work on these skills and to provide them with the necessary knowledge related to vision and visual skills. So, I created learning modules that explain these skills to share with the preschool staff. Vision is a complex skill that not only takes place in the eyes, but also in the brain, and the information meshes with other sensory modalities, especially proprioception and the vestibular system, to help interpret what one is seeing. To make sense of one's environment and to learn from it, one must have good visual reception, which is acuity, accommodation, binocular vision, convergence, divergence, ocular motor skills, and good visual fields. Good visual cognition, which is good attention, visual attention, visual memory, visual discrimination, and imagery. Good good spatial vision, which is depth perception, position in space, and spatial relations. And object vision, which is form constancy, visual closure, and figure ground. And lastly, you need good visual motor integration, which includes eye-hand coordination, eye-foot coordination, and eye-ear coordination. So the literature suggests that societal trends, including an increase in the amount of kiddos playing indoors and playing on tablets or other devices, has resulted in increased myopia or nearsightedness and a decrease in visual motor integration and visual perceptual skills. Additionally, the World Health Organization determined that there was a significant rise in the rate of myopia and predicted that by 2050, this would jump to 50% of the world's population. While the research suggests that myopia is on the rise, the way to mitigate this or to slow the progression of this was actually to spend more time outdoors. The first step in the literature review was to make a connection to the importance of vision and visual skills in the school environment and why preschool was the opportune time to work on these skills. The research I found determined that 75 to 90% of the learning done in school is vision related and requires sustained functional visual skills, and that visual perceptual and ocular motor skills are the foundation of early literacy skills, early numerical learning, fine motor skills, resulting in better math and reading skills in later grades. The research also suggests that unaddressed visual deficits lead to poor academic performance in later grades, and poor vision equals poor fine motor skills and gross motor skills. The research also confirms that vision-related learning difficulties are hidden and includes poor eye tracking, poor near-point focusing, poor eye teaming, and visual perceptual skills. However, these skills do not require perfect 20/20 vision, and kiddos with these visual difficulties can pass those eye screening tests done in the nurse's office at school or even the pediatrician's office. Because behaviors are such a concern in school now, I also looked for research that supported the notion that working on visual skills may explain the cause of these behaviors, and by addressing them may in fact improve the behaviors. The research did support that the notions that visual deficits may present as non-compliant due to visual stress, decreased attention to task, and hyperactivity. Research also supported that behaviors can improve with specific interventions focused on visual motor integration skills. And not only that, but by working on tracking skills might actually lead to improved ADHD behaviors because the same neural pathways are targeted. Because executive functioning is also a hot topic in preschool, I looked at the research to determine if there is a correlation, if working on visual skills could positively impact executive functioning skills. However, there was inconclusive and conflicting evidence that executive functioning skills can be impacted by addressing visual deficits. Some studies found that there was a significant difference in improvement. Others found that there was a modest improvement in executive functioning and actually attributed it to maturity in preschool years. It's also important to give teachers a solid base of knowledge of vision and visual skills, because the standardized testing provided by occupational therapists may not give an accurate representation of the functional skills in the classroom, and teachers need to know what to look for to enhance collaboration. Additionally, professional development has been found to be a key component in reducing the number of students referred to special education. I also looked into the literature review of I took a deep dive into what my preschool utilizes now is called the creative curriculum, to make a connection of vision and what the kiddos are learning in school. This is called the creative curriculum, and it is a play-based curriculum which focuses on 4 areas of child development, including social emotional development, physical, which includes fine motor and gross motor skills, language development, cognition. There are a total of 38 objectives that target these skills. Additionally, the creative curriculum recognizes the need to educate teachers on why behaviors may occur in the classroom and how to address these behaviors using a positive-based approach, and promotes teaching the students self-regulation techniques, such as breathing strategies or using the calm down corner. However, there is a clear lack of connection to vision or visual skills and how to address these skills in the classroom, and how behavior problems may be related to visual deficits due to visual stress. In looking at the objectives, I determined that 18 out of the 38 goals and objectives focus on underlying visual skills, specifically convergence, divergence, ocular motor skills, visual motor integration, visual memory, visual discrimination, form constancy, and spatial relation. And below are the particular objectives. So I had to do a needs assessment on my preschool teachers to see where they were as far as the familiarity of visual skills. So I provided them with a Likert scale ranging from not at all, slightly familiar, somewhat familiar, moderately familiar, to extremely familiar. The familiarity with the skill of vision was rated at 100% slightly familiar. The familiarity with visual perceptual skills was rated at 100% of somewhat familiar. The familiarity of visual motor integration skills was rated at 100% somewhat familiar. So then I wanted to know, how often do they work on these skills? With a Likert scale of never, rarely, sometimes, frequently, and always. So in terms of working on visual perceptual skills, they rated 100% frequently. In working on visual motor integration skills, they rated 50% always and 50% frequently. So herein lies the disconnect. So my teachers were at this end of the continuum with their knowledge of the visual skills, which was slightly familiar and somewhat familiar, but they were on this end of the continuum with how much they actually work on these skills, ranging from always to frequently. Another needs assessment I did was of the related service providers. So I wanted to know how much the OTs and PTs were working on this. And again, they were given a Likert scale of never, rarely, sometimes, frequently, and always. So how often do you work on ocular motor movements? 67 rated frequently, 33% rated sometimes. How often do you work on visual motor integration? 100% rated always. How often do you work on visual perceptual skills? 33% rated always, 33% rated frequently, and another 33% rated sometimes. How often do you educate teachers on the topic of vision, visual perceptual skills, and VMI skills? And 67% rated always, 33% rated sometimes. How often do you provide activities to the preschool teachers to work on these skills? 67% rated frequently and 33% rated never. So again, there's a little bit of a disconnect there. they're working on these skills always and frequently, but at the same time, there's a disconnect as how often they're providing education and activities to the teachers. Okay, so in order to design the learning modules, I decided an asynchronous learning modules would be the best format, just because there were limited opportunities for in-person training, and these resources could be used repeatedly. I created 3 separate modules, which were approximately 20 minutes in length, giving the information in bite-sized chunks rather than overwhelming the teachers with one long module. And I also found resources that supported the use of asynchronous learning modules in preschool kiddos on gross motor skills. And they found that it had a positive effect on the students' gross motor skills after the teachers participated in these modules. So I figured if it can work for gross motor skills, it's got to be able to work for visual skills. I recorded the modules with a paid version of Loom, which allowed me to easily edit the modules, thereby saving a ton of time. And I was able to distribute the models in one email, making it easy for the teachers to find and go back to if they were doing the modules on separate days. There was a potential for bias because I did offer my participants a small monetary incentive just for the sake of time and to make sure that things got done in a prompt manner. The first module was called The Eyes Have It. I provided a brief overview of the visual system and how it works and what typical visual system looks like when the light enters into the lens and goes into the eye. I explained what myopia, hyperopia, and astigmatism looks like when light enters into the lens and how the light is distributed into the eye. The importance of vision in the classroom, societal changes that are impacting vision in preschool, and not only staying inside and playing on tablets, but also the type of play that we're lacking in preschool nowadays, like playing on the swings and jungle gyms. Visual deficits in the classroom, and those specific goal areas of the creative curriculum that target those visual skills. The second module was called the components of the visual system. And in this model, I explained the following: visual reception, visual cognition, spatial vision, object vision, and visual motor integration. I also provided, So I explained what those were and examples of where the preschool teachers might work on those skills in the classroom, such as maybe catching a ball or completing puzzles. Okay. The third module was called Visual Activities in the Classroom. In this module, I provided activities that could address each of the above mentioned visual components. Some examples included on how to work on catching a ball if a student is turning away and struggling with this task, or scooter board activities following a chalk pattern or a tape path in a prone position, or the use of a commercial Zoom ball, or how to make a Zoom ball during a recycling study out of water bottles and duct tape and string. The creative curriculum also has what's called Mighty Minutes that are short filler activities. They are play-based learning activities that they already have in their curriculum that include singing and movement and chanting. So I went through, there are about 100 activities, and I shared with staff those activities that also works on those visual skills, and there's listed right here. Okay, so the capstone results. They were questioned and they replied that 100% strongly agreed that the learning objectives of the modules were met. The learning modules were practical, intuitive, and helpful. They stated 100% strongly agreed. The information provided supported the goals and objectives of the creative curriculum. 100% stated strongly agreed. I also wanted to know what they felt was most useful and valuable to them regarding these modules. And the overall theme was that I provided easy to use suggestions that they could incorporate into their routines with materials that they already have. My favorite quote, though, is this one. the activity recommendations were very helpful. Sometimes as early childhood educators, we know we are supposed to be doing these things, but we don't always understand the why. Understanding the why will help me to expand these activities and focus on the reasons for the games, not just the winning. That right there, it was essentially the whole purpose of the project, was to get the teachers to understand the why, and that was just a home run. And lastly, I asked the teachers, is there anything else you would like to share about the learning modules? And overall, they reported that they enjoyed that the complex information was formatted into an easy, understandable manner. And in conclusion, going on, the goals of the capstone were met based on the feedback received from the teachers that completed the program. And going forward, now that I have the buy-in of those teachers, I really would like to develop a specific program that focus on visual skills, whether it be an ocular motor program or a specific visual motor integration program used during recess. That's something I have to still try to figure out and talk with my teachers regarding that. I think it's going to really enhance our communication and our consultation time with the teachers. And I'm going to be able to share these with future teachers and related service providers and CST members, which I'm really excited about. And lastly, I'm thinking that it's really important to share these resources and to really get more parent education on vision and visual skills, and really teach them that their kiddos really need that comprehensive eye exam, and the visual screenings are not enough to determine vision deficits. I just wanted to give a huge thank you and a shout out to Dr. Martin, who also talked me off the ledge several times during my capstone project. I really appreciate you. My husband and my children who supported me through all of this, and my friends and colleagues who have also been very supportive. So yeah, that's it. Do you guys have any questions?
So Carolyn, I have a quick question.
I love your curiosity. Bring it on.
Yes. Well, first of all, great job. I think it's pretty impressive going through all of those the curriculum and figuring all that out. That was a lot of analysis. I might have missed this, but how many participants or how many teachers did you have who were going through this program?
So I offered it up to 8 teachers, and by the time I needed this completed, 50% completed it. So it was 4 teachers completed it.
Yeah, very good. And I'm just curious about their background. Like, do they have a bachelor's? Do you know if they have like a bachelor's degree or what their background is?
So some of them range from their years of experience, from teaching from 3 years to over 20 years, and again ranging in bachelor's and master's degrees.
Well, congratulations on
Thank
your work.
you. Thank
Yep.
you so much. I appreciate that.
So Carolyn, what was your like aha moment with your project and what you did?
Um, I feel like the aha moment was just combining the information in the literature to the curriculum and what the teachers already had, and just meshing those together, and just kind of showing the teachers, like, this is what you have. Let's, kind of tweak those things. And, this is the visual skill that we can work on by doing X, Y, and Z. And that's what I thought that was really great, rather than designing this whole big program that, like you suggested early on, like the teachers have enough on their plates. They don't need, extra stuff. Using what they got was, really eye-opening.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, and just kind of keeping all that in perspective, and but yet again, like you said, pulling in the literature based on what you already know. Like we have people have talked about that before. Just kind of, I know this in my brain, like you and I
Yeah.
have talked about that. How can I make this connection and kind of make it make sense? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
great.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions?
I have more of a comment, Diane.
Yeah.
So the theme I've heard this evening was that you're good at talking people off the ledge.
Thanks, Tam.
She is 100%.
We adapt and overcome. That was the theme.
Yes. Yes,
Adapt and
and
overcome.
perseverance, yeah.
Yes, yes, yes,
Yeah.
it's there. Can make anything work. Can make
Yeah.
anything work. They were all fantastic ideas. And Carolyn, you certainly made that happen too. Like there were often times where you just had to work through things and did it. And you did a good job.
Thanks.
So
Thanks. I
thank you.
appreciate that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that concludes this evening. I'm going to stop the recording right now.